Alright, I watched Jin's SEOKJIN EP.TOUR concert through Weaver streaming on June 28th. And let me just say, it was one of the best decisions I've had made all year. Just like watching HYBE's Hope on the Stage final. In fact, by the time it ended, I caught myself thinking, if I could, I would follow this tour to every stop. That's how good it was. It was fun, it was emotional, unpredictable, and entirely Jin. Now, if you're someone planning to attend the concert in person, I get that you might be worried about spoilers. Totally fair. If that's the case, feel free to close this video and come back later. But honestly, I feel like even if you knew every beat of this show in advance, you would still have an incredible time. It's the kind of concert that doesn't rely on surprise. It thrives on the energy of the moment, and no two shows will ever feel exactly the same, I think. And I will probably make a full-length review soon, more chaotic and unfiltered version. But for now, here are 7 standout highlights that made this concert so unforgettable for me. Highlight number 1. A new blueprint for solo concerts. So from the opening seconds, it was clear that Jin had something different in mind. No dramatic VCR intro, no slow build-up. Instead, he walked on stage, raised one hand, and shouted one word, 도전, which means challenge. And that one word set the tone for what turned out to be one of the most inventive solo concerts K-pop has seen, at least from what I know of. SEOKJIN EP.TOUR didn't just skip the usual structure, it threw out the whole playbook. I think one of the boldest changes was the absence of VCR breaks. In most concerts, pre-recorded videos serve as buffers for outfit changes or set transitions. But Jin kept the momentum going by handling those transitions right in front of the audience. At one point, he changed into a full taekwondo uniform backstage in under 90 seconds, turning even that transition into part of the entertainment itself. And even when Chaeyeona joined him as a guest, the handoff was swift and efficient. Just one song, The Loser, and a quick goodbye, so the flow of the show never dropped. That was really a funny moment for me. And this format wasn't just efficient, it was incredibly engaging. Jin structured the concert like a mission-based variety show, complete with interactive challenges, comedic punishments, and constant shifts in tone. It was spontaneous, it was humorous, and surprisingly intimate all at once. And because of its live nature, it felt like anything could happen, which, with Kim Seok-jin in charge, was exactly the point. And what's most exciting is that this format seems designed to evolve. Knowing Jin's personality and knowing his nature, it's easy to imagine him adding new twists and details and playful upgrades as this tour progresses. And also, as armies become more prepared and in sync with each stop, the show will likely become even more fun, even more unpredictable, and more uniquely Jin. So I feel like this wasn't just a concert, it was a prototype for what a solo stage can be when the artist is fully in control of the experience. Highlight number 2, highly interactive fan engagement. So one of the most defining features of SEOKJIN EP.TOUR was how fully Jin brought ARMY into the experience. This wasn't just a concert performed to the fans. It was a concert performed with them. From start to finish, ARMY wasn't just in the audience, so to say. They were part of the show's structure and the show's spirit and progression. This was especially evident during the concert's 2 signature games, the telepathy game and the sing-along game. In the former, Jin had to guess a word based on fans' silent gestures. And in the latter, he listened to ARMY sing and tried to identify the song based on their voices, all while standing under a comically large tray, which would fall on his head if he guessed wrong. And the energy in the venue during these segments was electric. Like fans weren't just watching Jin play, they were actively involved, laughing, and reacting with him in real time. So it felt like Run Jin and a full-scale concert had all fused into one interactive experience. And also, the connection went beyond the games that they played. Throughout the show, Jin repeatedly emphasized the phrase "ARMY 다 같이," ARMY all together, as a cue for fans to join in. Not just singing along, but sharing in the emotional weight of each performance. During the encore, for example, he even handed the mic to a fan and asked her to sing the opening line of Moon. It was adorable. And he also made an effort to bridge the physical gap at the end as he walked up to the front row to high-five ARMYs over the fence. The interaction was constant, it was sincere, and so intimate. And so rather than being treated like a crowd to perform to, fans were cast as collaborators, co-performers, in a space that blurred the line between artist and audience. Jin himself said that today, ARMYs are the special guest in this episode of Run SEOKJIN. Right? And he had built a space where they could perform with him and laugh with him, and most of all, feel seen. Highlight number 3, Jin's vocals. While the format and fan interaction were key elements of the concert, what really grounded the entire experience was Jin's unmistakable vocal presence. Like throughout the night, Jin seamlessly switched between his styles, like delivering rock anthems like Running Wild and Rope It. Rope It. I love it. And he performed with explosive energy, while also nailing softer ballads like Falling and Don't Say You Love Me with emotional control. His falsetto was clean. Oh my god, Jin's falsetto. How is he so good at it? And his ad-libs were sharp and his tone consistently expressive. There were moments where his live vocals felt more textured than the original recordings. Also, much credit also goes to the live band, whose arrangements elevated every track with a raw, immersive sound. Like the synergy between Jin's vocals and the instrumentation added a level of depth that gave each performance new life. Rather than simply replicate what fans had already heard on albums, Jin and the band reinterpreted many of the songs, leaning into live dynamics and letting each moment breathe, so to say. And it wasn't about hitting perfect notes, although he certainly did that too. But it was about delivering performances that felt alive in the moment. And by the end of the night, it was clear that Jin is a live performer with the range, with the stamina, and with the storytelling instincts to command a stage entirely on his own. Alright, highlight number 4, Jin at the piano. This was one of the most touching and quietly powerful moments of the night. And this came not during a grand finale or a high energy anthem, but when Jin sat down at the piano. He performed I Will Come to You and Abyss, and he revealed a different side of himself, not just as a vocalist, but as a musician willing to push it past his comfort zone. And Jin has occasionally shared glimpses of his piano practice with fans in the past, like including a 2020 live stream on Bangtan TV, or special stages like Epiphany performance for 2018 KBS Song Festival. But this concert marked the first time he sang multiple full-length songs while accompanying himself live on a stage of this scale, at least from what I know of. And it wasn't just for show. He made it clear during his during his mention that he had only been practicing for about a month. And this was something he had specifically challenged himself to do for this tour as his mission or challenge or 도전, right? And he admitted to being nervous. He said his hands and legs were shaking, and I saw sweat like visibly roll down his face as he played. But rather than undercut the moment, that vulnerability made the performance feel all the more honest. Like watching him navigate those songs live without sheet music, relying solely on muscle memory and emotion, felt like watching someone become a musician in real time, not just act like one. And the emotional weight was especially strong during Abyss, which is a song tied to one of the most difficult periods of Jin's life. This was originally released as a gift to fans on his birthday in 2020 through SoundCloud. And the track was born out of burnout, self-doubt, and quiet internal battles. So let me read what he wrote on Bangtan blog when he first released the song. Okay? Hello, this is Jin. A while ago, during a press conference, I mentioned something like this. I don't want to share my sad feelings with my fans. That's because I only want to show them good things. But if it's music, it's a different story. While I wouldn't want to share it through my usual actions, I think it's okay to show it through music. Honestly, I think I recently experienced a significant burnout because I had a lot of thoughts about myself. After reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, I received congratulations from so many people. And I wonder, do I really deserve this? I thought, there are actually many people who love music more and are better at it than me. So is it really okay for me to receive this joy and congratulations? As I delved deeper into these thoughts, my heart grew heavy, and I felt like I wanted to let everything go. I spent my days receiving counseling for this, and then I spoke with Bang PD님. He suggested, what if you write a song about these feelings you're experiencing now? I replied that I wasn't confident I could make it well, and what if the result wasn't good? I felt like I was already in a position where I shouldn't be making mistakes like that. Bang PD님 told me, those things aren't important, but if you do it, you will definitely do well. I'll find someone suitable to work with you. That's how I met composer 개범주 형님, and we talked a lot about my current feelings and many other things. He's a bright and positive person. 형님 said he wanted to help me, and with his positive energy telling me, let's try writing about your many anxieties. If it doesn't work out well, we can just try something new. He helped me find my light again. After many conversations, he created a track for me right there on the spot, directly reflecting my feelings. As I wrote down what I wanted to express with it, Abyss was completed. I want to thank 개범주 형님 once again. It's a somewhat melancholic song that doesn't quite fit a birthday, but I felt it would be awkward to release Abyss if it wasn't on my birthday. Armies, please listen to it, even if it's lacking. P.S. Thank you to our leader for writing the chorus lyrics. So, hearing it now, performed live on piano by an artist who has since grown, healed, and returned stronger, added another layer of depth to an already personal piece. So it was very clear that Jin continues to evolve and he's not afraid to let ARMY witness the process, Alright, highlight number 5, BTS group songs. So yeah, one of the most emotionally resonant aspects of Run SEOKJIN EP Tour was Jin's decision to perform some of BTS' most beloved group songs entirely on his own, just like J-Hope did during his Hope on the Stage tour. Tracks like Dynamite, Butter, Microcosmos, and Spring Day, Jin stood on stage alone and managed to fill that space without ever making it feel empty. Like when Dynamite started, Jin raised his voice and called out, like, ARMY, stand up. The excitement in his voice was unmistakable. He only performed the second half of the song, but it didn't matter, honestly. Just hearing it live again brought a rush of nostalgia. Next came Butter, and again, what could have felt empty without the other members instead felt full and effortless. Like Jin carried the entire stage by himself, like filling every beat with playful charisma and confident vocals. But for me, the real emotional peak personally came during Microcosmos. Jin paused mid-performance to confess, "Army, I really missed you. Seeing you like this again, I'm so happy." 근데 아미 여러분들 진짜 보고 싶었어요. 이렇게 보니까 너무 반가워요, 우리 아미. And as he sang the line, "Shine, dream, smile." Shine, dream, smile. Like, for many in the audience, I felt like that was the moment the tears came. And the transition into Spring Day, 봄날, was seamless, but the emotional weight only deepened. He knelt during the bridge and sang as if he were pouring out all the longing of the past few years. And when the song ended, ARMY sang the final refrain back in unison. It wasn't rehearsed, it just happened, and that's what made it unforgettable. And afterward, Jin paused to reflect. He said, "I was worried about performing these songs without the other members, but ARMY, you filled in their voices so beautifully. Thanks to you, I didn't feel alone on stage." 이 곡들을 멤버들 없이 잘 부를 수 있을지 걱정했는데 아미 여러분들이 너무 잘 불러줘서 멤버들의 빈자리를 잘 채웠던 것 같습니다. And yeah, 혼자서도 무대에서 외롭지 않은 건 아미들 덕분입니다. 감사합니다. Thank you. And it was after this that Jin casually acknowledged what many had suspected. Some of his fellow members were there in the audience. And he was like squinting toward the audience and he suddenly called out, like, "Where's J-Hope? I heard HYBE came." "Oh, there he is." And he spotted him on the screen and he laughed like, "HYBE, wanna sing a song?" And J-Hope mouthed back like with the grin, laughing like, "What song? 무슨 노래?" And Jin played along, like, "Who else came with you?" And J-Hope answered silently again, like, "Namjoon and Taeyong," he mouthed. Then Jin said, "Oh, our leader, RM, 우리 리더 RM." And he was like playing too shy to show his face. It's okay, he just got discharged. We'll let him rest. Then, with his trademark smirk, he said, "Just remember though, I performed the day after my discharge." And that's true. I mean, during my review on Hope on the Stage final, the day one, I said I was so impressed by the fact that Jungkook performed on stage like 2 days after his discharge. But Jin, we gotta remember, he did a whole fan event and like mini fan concert the day after he got discharged. And he performed, including, Super Tuna. And that was super impressive. Anyways, then he turned sincere again and said, "HYBE and all our members, thank you so much for coming. I hope the day comes soon when we can sing these songs together again." And, it was lighthearted and teasing, but I feel like behind it was something deeper. The sense that Jin has been carrying the group's legacy in his own way until the members were back, while the members were away. And performing these songs solo wasn't about like proving that he could do it alone. It was about showing that the spirit of BTS lives on in every member, even when they stand on stage by themselves. And that with ARMY in the crowd, no one ever truly performs alone. You know what I'm saying? Alright, highlight number 6. Emotional bond with ARMY. So to be honest, there was no single emotional moment at this concert because emotion ran through the entire night, like a current, so to say. And Jin didn't just thank ARMY, like he credited them as a reason this show could even exist. And he specifically called ARMYs as special guest for this episode of SEOKJIN and for this concert. And that bond was especially deeply felt during the final VCR, where Jin reflected on the whole series, 달려라 석진, Run Jin, the variety show that he launched immediately after completing his military service. And yeah, the first question during the final VCR was, why did you start Run Jin? And he said, because the other members were in the military and I had just gotten out, I figured Army might get bored for about 6 months. So I started it for you, or for Army. Second question, why didn't you stop? He said, it was a tough show to film. And yes, he's being real here. I'm being honest here. But if it made fans happy, it was worth it. Classic Jin. Third question. Any words for fans who joined the concert? He said, I always wonder what it would be like to film Run Jin with fans. Even though this was a concert, it felt like we were filming together. I will keep bringing more fun content to share with you. And then the last question was a final chant. He said, let's do the Run Jin chant one last time. And yeah, as the show came to a close, he invited everyone to shout the signature Run Jin slogan with him one last time. When I say 달려라, you say 석진. And then he looked at the crowd and said, Run Jin will continue in the next city too. So it was a perfect reminder that while the show may have ended, the connection he has built with fans is still very much in motion. And last but not least, highlight number 7, Jin's humor. I personally believe that what truly set Run SEOKJIN EP Tour apart wasn't just the music or the format or the interactions. It was Jin's ability to make the entire show feel light, surprising, and hilarious. And his timing was impeccable. His delivery was casual yet sharp. And whether he was jumping around in a taekwondo uniform or for a Super Tuna performance, or jokingly said during Microcosmos, he said, Jimin, are you out there? Come sing this part for me. I'm dying here. 죽겠다. And Jin proved that his humor isn't a side feature, so to say. It's a main act. And the laughs never felt forced. They felt like an extension of who he is. And somehow, amid all the joking, he managed to make everyone in the venue feel seen, feel included and appreciated. So yeah, it was a night full of new challenges and emotional highs. I personally believe that what made this concert unforgettable was the joy, the pure joy, the very specific kind of joy that only Kim Seok-jin can bring to a stage. So there you go. As a final note, I don't think I've ever seen a concert that maintained such a tight, high energy flow from beginning to the very end. Like there was no lag, no downtime, no moments where you felt the pace drop, And I think that's largely because of the bold choice that Jin made and the whole staff made. Like no VCRs until the encore. And yet, it never felt like anything was missing. Jin made sure of that. And he changed outfits right on stage, like turned transitions into part of the performance, and never let the atmosphere cool down, even for a second. And watching this concert kind of reminded me of what I felt when I saw him in the Netflix series, 대환장 기안장, Kian's Bizarre B&B. Like, I felt Kim Seok-jin is, at his core, a natural-born entertainer. He has that rare ability to sense exactly what's fun, what's funny, and what's flat, and what needs to happen next. And he uses that instinct with like surgical precision. And also, this concert didn't just ride on vibes. It was like actively shaped by someone who understands how to guide an audience's emotion from start to finish. And if J-Hope's solo concert, and let me make this clear, when I do comparison in music or art, especially when it comes to like BTS members, I'm not comparing to say who's better. No, BTS members are fantastic in their unique way. I like to say they're unique in their unique way. But if I were to compare, I feel like if J-Hope's solo concert was a masterclass in sheer impact, like a burst of charisma and stage power, and it was overwhelmingly good, I would say Jin's concert was a celebration of connection. It was comforting, but never dull. It was funny, but never shallow. And it made you feel like you were part of something, not just watching it unfold. And what struck me most was how repeatable this concert felt. And what I mean by that is that, in the sense that I could watch it again tomorrow or follow it across cities, like I said in the beginning, and still find something new to enjoy. It was full of little details, off-the-cuff moments, and emotional beats that you just don't get from like pre-programmed shows. So yeah, I was very impressed. So if you're still deciding whether to watch or attend, here's what I'll say. Do it. You won't regret. All right? And feel free to leave your comments to discuss. And when you do so, let's stay positive, respectful, and classy. Thank you guys. Peace and love. Bye-bye. Oh, I'll also probably make, like I said, full, unfiltered, chaotic review. So we'll see what it turns out to be. All right? See you later.